if I don't want to spoil anything, but if you can tell us, like, how did you attribute certain powers with characters based off of their like experiences? Because to me, that character development's got to be amazing, right? Like, well, I can do, I'm struggling here, but then I can do this thing now with a power, like, and like you just said, right? Like, oh, I might be healed now. Like, but to me, it's like now you have some people that might not wield the power well. So to me, that adds a huge depth more to the character development. So I'm kind of curious how you navigated that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, so it kind of all ties into this sort of like allegory of teens growing up. Because one of the major things that signal whether a person is grown up or not is emotional maturity and being able to have command over your emotions. And really, the powers are there are 10 potential gifts that they can
Oh,
get.
cool.
That's how I've kind of structured it in my mind. That's not brought into the canon, but it will be
Oh, interesting.
eventually. And which one ends up manifesting in each character depends on their emotional state and their sort of like deepest desires. A
Hmm.
character who struggles with anger, they're a teenager. This happens. They
Yeah.
develop sort of like incredible strength. Then there's a character who would love more than anything to find a way to communicate with his sister, and he develops the ability to sort of speak to people through their mind. He can speak
Oh, that's
directly
cool.
to her whenever he wants. And there's a character in Stone Cold Blood who feels abandoned by his family completely, and he basically wants nothing more than to just sort of fade into the background, and that's exactly what he can do now. He can kind of go
That's awesome.
invisible,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and all the powers are sort of traced back to their sort of like deepest desires or the raw
Mm.
emotion that's fueling their journey. And the crux of it is that if they're ever going to learn to figure out these sort of like wild abilities, they're going to need to learn how to control their emotions. They're going to need to grow up.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. That's really cool. Oh, that's really interesting. Um, so I guess like I'd like to know a little bit about the magic system, like in terms of because that's really cool. But I want to go right into why you chose the desire there. Why was it that their desire is going to determine like their power? That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like when we're growing up, the things that happen to us in our childhood, in our formative years, right up until sort of like mid-teens, that kind of like stays with you for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the core of it, is that they have these experiences that they have had as children, and that has kind of informed what path they are now on as adults.
Yeah.
So there are characters who struggle with certain things, like they want nothing more than to just see everyone fixed, and then all of a sudden they can sort of develop the ability to like heal people. And it's kind of, well, it comes back to what who they are as characters. And I started with the character, and like, who is this person and what are they doing and what was their upbringing like, and how can I feed that into eventually becoming a power, something that they desire. Because a lot of the powers were very similar in the original draft that I made, but um, I end up having to kind of like swap a lot of them around, because I was like, actually, like based on this character's journey, this character should have this power, and
Interesting.
this character
Yeah,
should have that power, because it doesn't make sense that this character has that power. When
yeah,
I linked the powers with their sort of emotional state and their sort of like deepest desires, when I linked them, then all of a sudden it didn't make sense for certain powers to be with certain people.
yeah.
So I did have to swap things around.
That's cool. That's super good to know actually, because I think some people like try to. I've learned recently, um, like I've been stopped recently with certain things that I'm writing because I'm like, it's just not working. And
Mm.
in the past, I'd get really frustrated and I would try to force it, but then now I'll like take a break and I'll be like, well, why isn't it working? And I'll reflect on it, and then there's something that'll click, right? It might take a couple of days or a week or something, but I think that's a great example of like you probably do have the answer, right? Like you just said, you switched them around. Like you have it in the book somewhere else, right? But maybe just switching it makes it kind of fit together a little bit better for characters. So I think that's just a great example of how maybe the answer is right there all along, but you just got to tweak something a little. So I think that's a really great example. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it was a bit of a light bulb moment for me of going, I need to focus on who the character is first, and then I can assign them a power once I know who they are, and once they know who they are.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, there were certain ones which I'd kind of already threw together in this sort of like very basic idea that I wrote, 8 years ago or whatever.
Mm.
And I thought that character can't have that power now. It doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
that's cool. That's super neat. Yeah, I just like how that like fit for you. That's really cool.